Look at this empty stage. For most of my life, it was not empty. I was on it, performing. My future role was clear, the perfect doctor. My lines were written for me. I want to be a doctor, just like my mom. My mom is a really great eye surgeon. She performs thousands of eye surgeries every year. And no one ever forced me to become a doctor in the future. But after seeing her being so successful, I had this belief that the only profession I could have is doctor, and I should continue my legacy. So my stage was set. Biology, chemistry, the perfect track to a medical school. I remember my first university counseling session. I walked in the office, sat down, the counselor smiled at me and asked, "What do you want to study?" And without hesitation, I delivered my line. The line that I would practice for years. "I want to be a doctor," I said, just like my mom. I talked about biology, HL, about chemistry, about the way I loved science. I performed my role perfectly. But after I left the room, something inside me just collapsed. Because in that moment, I realized I had not just been trying to convince the counselor, I had been also trying to convince myself. That was the first time I heard silence after my own performance. And in that silence, a single and terrifying thought echoed. I am lying. I am lying to the counselor, to my family, lying to everyone who saw a future doctor when they looked at me. But most importantly, I am lying to myself. I am pretending that someone else's dream is mine. That's when I understood something that all actors know. In film, the most demanding role you'll ever have to play is not the superhero, or the villain, or the tragic lover. It is actually a role of yourself of a version that is not true. It requires something special from yourself as an actor, and from your audience too. It requires what we in film call suspension of disbelief. In film, you suspend disbelief in order to believe that a spaceship is real, or that these two people are actually in love. So, in my life, I had to suspend disbelief about my own future. Every time I felt that electric pull to write another scene, instead of memorizing the photosynthesis cycle, I had to remind myself, film is just a hobby, a subplot, and my future role is the perfect doctor. So, my life became a careful edit between two channels. Channel 1, school me. Practical, legacy caring, on track. It played in a high, crisp definition for everyone to see. At Channel 2, my room me. The me who had a hard drive full of half-finished films. The me who spent hours on YouTube, not watching cat videos, but analyzing how a director employed a 50mm lens to depict intimacy. The me who saw story structuring in everything, even in the way my friends stir her coffee before an exam. The crack in my perfect stage was not dramatic. It didn't happen under stage lights. Instead, it happened under broad daylight, over a cup of tea, surrounded by the people who loved me the most. I decided, finally, to ask. I went to my relatives, my grandparents, my parents, my uncles, my aunts, and asked them a question that I had been carrying around for so long, like a secret. I asked, what should I do with my life? And one by one, they gave me the same gentle and well-meaning answer. Jannet, they said, do what you like. Do what you like. It sounds so simple, so freeing. It is an advice that we give when we want to be supportive, when we want to sound open-minded. But as I sat there smiling and nodding, I realized that they had no idea what I actually liked. For them, what I liked was an idea of me in a white coat, the version of me that they had been applauding for years. And now, their permission felt like opening a door with a soft lock on it. But passion alone does not change a life script. It meets a brick wall of fear. Fear of the unstable, fear of the impractical, fear of the question that echoed from everywhere, from my relatives, from the society, from the voice in my own head. How will you make money? That question is real, and it is valid, and I felt its weight on my shoulders like a physical thing. Because choosing art over a guaranteed profession in our world feels like a financial gamble. And let me be clear, because we don't say this enough in Follow Your Passion talks. I didn't choose film just because I love it. I chose it with a knot in my stomach. My brave new now was not born from fearlessness. It was born despite the fear. True bravery is not the absence of the knot in your stomach. It is choosing your path while you feel it tightening. So, the decision itself was not cinematic. There was no slow motion run through a field. It happened in a bland school office, under fluorescent lights, opening my laptop to complete a course selection form. In that moment, I did the most directorial thing that I had ever done. I said, cut. Cut to the performance, cut to the inherited script, cut to the life that I was acting out. I stepped from in front of the lights to behind the camera, and everything changed. Instead of asking, what is my next line? I started asking, what is the motivation here? What is the angle? What story am I actually trying to tell? But choosing Film HL did not magically dissolve the brick wall of fear or answer the money question. Instead, what it did was changing the fundamental question that I was asking about my life. The old question was terrifying to me. It kept me in the counselor's chair saying, doctor, over and over again. It was so scary. And it was, will I be successful? That question is measured in metrics that I did not choose. Titles, salaries, and approving nod from a relative. But the question that actually kept me up at night with excitement and not fear, that made my heart beat a little faster just from the possibility of it, was, will I be happy? Not in smiling in photos way, but deeply, authentically aligned. Would the person that I was becoming recognize the person that I was meant to be? Because success has this known formula. You follow the steps from A to B to C, and you arrive at a known truth, at a verifiable answer. But happiness, alignment, there is no syllabus for that. There is no guaranteed answers at the back of the book. In a chemistry lab, we collaborate to arrive at a known truth, but on a film set, we collaborate to build a truth that did not exist before we created it. I want you to think for a moment, not about my story, but about yours. What is one question that you have been asking yourself about your own life? Is it your question? Or did someone else plan it in your mind? When will you get a real job? When will you finally settle down? Now think for a moment. What would the brave new question be? The question that makes your heart beat a little faster from the possibility, from the excitement of it. Just have it in your mind. Don't say it out loud. So I'm not standing here to ask you to drop out or change your major or become a filmmaker. Instead, I'm standing here to ask you, where in your life are you just acting a part? Where in your life are you just reading lines from someone else's script? Is it in your career? In a relationship that you have outgrown? Maybe it's in the persona that you feel like you must maintain online or in your community. Your brave new now might not be a public, sudden, and dramatic declaration. It might be terrifyingly quiet. It might just be a yes you finally say, a no you finally whisper, or a conversation you finally have, or a single and true sentence you write for yourself in your journal. Have the courage to say cut to the performance that no longer fits. Step behind the camera of your own consciousness. Look through your own lens, however it shakes at first. Because in that moment, you allow yourself to be the lead director, lead actor, and the producer of your own story. And no matter how the scene turns out, however challenging, however uncertain, you will know in your bones that the film is yours. And there is no greater creative achievement than that. Thank you.